Hello, everybody, and welcome to the True Love Talk channel. To the True Love Talk channel. Hi. As you know, here we want to learn about human sexuality, love, life, family, and all of this from the point of view of the Catholic Church, especially the teachings that Pope John Paul II left in the theology of the body, and other works such as this letter, Mulieris Dignitatem. As you know, I am Elisa, and today we're going to have our last session of the year, and we're going to talk about the conclusions that we can get from Mulieris Dignitatem, right? From this encyclic, and also what it means for us today. So let's begin. So, as you know, this whole series on Mulieris Dignitatem started because we were wondering if feminism was able to fulfill its goal, right? The goal of feminism was to give back to women their dignity, right? And not only their dignity, also the rights, their possibilities, and more or less it was to make her an equal to men, right? But we were equal. The idea or the ideal idea of this goal was to make us equals in dignity, rights, opportunities, right, participation, and so on. But it became more or less an idea of, so we're going to make women equal to men, absolutely equal, to the point that we are going to to make femininity a bit more masculine, or at least to blur the line between masculinity and femininity to the point that basically it's the same to be a man or a woman, right? And let's remember what we were saying in the videos on violence, right? When we said that violence basically is abusing the other person, but that abusers usually take a very good characteristic and natural characteristic of their victims, and they justify the abuse with that characteristic. That meaning, for example, with women, with women and the problem of sexism, right? We are going to abuse you. We're going to take away your dignity, your rights, your participation, your humanity, basically, because you are different, right? Because you're women, because you're not exactly the same as men. Nothing justifies violence, and we know that idea of you deserve to be abused because you're different from me, it's ridiculous, right? However, it is so bad, right? And victims get to feel so much pain that sometimes they have the temptation of taking away from themselves what was good, right? That thing that the abuser didn't like and wanted out, or wanted to extinguish, or that used they simply used as an excuse. In this case, because sexism is based in the fact that femininity is different, which is a great thing, as we had said. This is what allows women to become complementary to men, and it's another way of being human. And if we accept the feminine way of being human, basically we have half of humanity there, the other half, because the other half is going to be masculine, right? But a society without the femininity is a society that leaves humanity, well, by parts. It only leaves half of what humanity should be or could be, right? So of course we need this, and it is good, but because it's being used as an excuse for the abuse, one of the an excuse for the abuse, one of the temptations that women can have is to become more masculine, right? If we become exactly the same as men, then we won't be abused. So let's end up our femininity and become masculine, and we call it not masculine, but we call it human, but without being feminine, and so on. So we guarantee that we never be abused again. But if we think about this is punishing the victim for what the abuser did, right? So the abuser told a lie, and the victim is the one who has to live it. Actually, no. If we want a really good, if we want to solve the problem, right? If we want a good world, what we need to do is to go back to the normal way of thinking. And that means giving femininity its value back. As I said in the video on femininity, the the fulfillment of femininity is motherhood. Because of motherhood, the spirit, this the psyche or the soul and the body of women have a very specific way of being, right? Specific characteristics, specific skills, which are going to be different from those of a male, right? Because we're supposed to be mothers. So to fully live what femininity means, to give femininity back its place, we need to find value in this tendency and this desire to become the space for the other person, to give oneself up, to see the other person blossom, right? And of course, they're going to call us idiots and they're going to call us sexist and traditionalist and so on. But if we really want to give back the value to femininity, we have to value what femininity really is. Also, and a second thing that we need to do is to check the context and the situations very well. Because sure, at some point, feminism had a point to be, and let's be clear: the world is not fair, is not a fair place, and we need, as as Christians, we need to commit to making this, to make, okay, we need to commit to make this world as fair as possible, and that means that if we need to fight for the rights of people, in this case, women, we have to do it. But feminism has been has been working in its goal a long time, and that means they have actually been successful, right? In At the beginning of the 20th century, women could not dream of becoming doctors, right? PhDs or medical doctors, right? MDs, none of that. And now, any woman that sets her mind into getting a PhD can get it because they can do it, right? So these spaces that needed to be created, this space for women participation in working, in education, in law, in politics, in everything in society has been opened, right? So yeah, we still can find some context in which injustice is still there and we need to keep fighting. But we can also find those other contexts in which men understand that women, even though they are different from themselves, have the same dignity, the same value, the same rights, right? And do not want to take those away from the woman, right? So if we encounter this kind of man, we have to not fight with him, right? We have to acknowledge that they are indeed good people and that they have given us what we needed, and so we don't need to fight. First of all, to not just fight for fighting, and second of all, to be able to enjoy the results of the fight. If we were able to do something, then we should enjoy what it means to achieve that goal. And this is all tied up to giving back the value and the dignity to the human person, right? Femininity is only going to be important, and masculinity will only be important if we give the value to the human person, and that means committing with the truth, right? And truth being Jesus Christ, who is the truth. But not only, and then, and committing to the truth means restoring our point of view. Let's remember that when we sinned, the way we saw things was deformed, and humanity started to not be enough for human beings. It wasn't good enough. If you were human and fully human, you were defective, and that is why we need to be better than, right? And yet more angelic or more divine, but not human, because humanity wasn't good enough. So of course here we have to say, como, yeah, taking care of human beings is actually a very noble thing to do, and it fulfills human beings, and it's actually what we're here to do, right? And that means understanding or remembering more than we understand it, but let's remember that the human being, the human person, is a gift. That means understanding that the human person is a gift, and that to be fully gift, right? We need to commit to being a gift, and that means committing to working on oneself, right? To become the best person possible to fulfill the needs that the other person has, right? And actually be someone who gives something to the other person, but also to commit to receive what the other person gives, right? It's not about becoming Batman and I am good because I give everything, nobody can give me anything good in return. No, they have very good things to give me, so I still value everything that the other person gives me. And we will only be able to fully embrace, right, being gifts for the other person and defending human dignity and so on, if we remember that the dignity and vocation of women has its source in the heart of God Himself, and that it was given to men as a gift so that He could protect and serve it, right? And in the same way, just like women were a gift for men, men are a gift for women, and women need to protect and respect and value that gift that men are. So, to do this, we need to remember that man was the only creature that God wanted and loved by itself. And that means that love is the only attitude that corresponds to human dignity, to the human person. Is the only attitude that is going to fully move us to protect and defend humanity in all of its forms. And to truly love the other person, we need to participate in God's intimate life. We are all called, every human being ever created is called to participate in the life of, in God's intimate life, right? And that means that we are called to love God and to receive the love that God has from us. Let Him love us, but also to learn to love exactly how He loves, right? Exactly how, exactly how God does it. And that means becoming a true sacrament of God in letting the rest of the world know how much God loves them because of the way we love them. And also to love as good and as perfect as possible, exactly how God loves us, right? So it means becoming the best kind of sacrament there is, right? As to be His image as best as we can. So, well, with that, we finished this series on Mulieris Dignitatem. I'm very glad to see that you're here. As you know, any question, any comment, you can write it in the comment section below. I'll try to answer it as soon as possible. And you should also know that I am going to take a Christmas recess from this week to the week after the 6th of January. That means after Christmas is officially gone, right, or finished in the Catholic Church. So you won't have new videos, but I will still be checking the comments. So if you have any questions, please write it, and I'll try to answer it as soon as I see it. Right? So I'm very glad that you're here. Have a nice day. Have a Merry Christmas. A very good New Year, and see you in January. See you next year. Have a nice day. Lots of blessings for everybody. Bye.